Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Thursday's training tip. I'm CB Harris. So today, as promised, we're going to start by talking about all the prep work involved with making a Kydex holster. I want to say thank you to everybody who voted in the poll on Monday, who determined that we are going to make this holster out of these materials. So we have the Kryptek Yeti, we have a carbon fiber that's going to be on the back panel, and then we're going to actually do this crimson color, it's blood red or whatever it is, and it's kind of a trim color underneath our Kryptek. So I'm going to show you what we did here. Now, first off, I want to tell you that this firearm, it was cleared prior to this, so please, I guess if you want to leave a comment below about it, go ahead, but I promise it was cleared out prior. So what I like to do is I take whatever handgun I'm going to be using and I trace it, okay? I just lay it down on a piece of paper, I trace it all out, and I start drawing. Now there's some things, some rules that you kind of need to follow when you're doing the design process of a holster. First off, you need to make sure that you cover your trigger guard area. The opening needs to be completely covered. A holster's purpose is to hold your handgun, but it's to hold it safely. And so in order to do that, you need to make sure that your trigger guard area, everything is completely covered so that, you know, if you're going by a I don't know, sticks, trees, whatever, that nothing can get in there and possibly pull the trigger, okay? So yes, it is an important safety factor that you need to consider. Next is when we're doing a holster, we need to make sure it has a little bit of flex to it. The Kydex, it is a flexible material, as you guys can see, but if we make these, if we put our fasteners too close in, it'll actually be too tight and it won't flex enough to allow you to reholster and take the handgun out of the holster. It'll just make it too tight. So I like to give myself at least a half an inch, sometimes a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit more on this side because we've molded a sight channel in here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but what I have in there is a half-inch dowel, and it has a cutout for my front sight post, just so that, you know, it kind of fits right over there. And this is to allow you to draw the handgun out without those front sights actually causing any problems. We need to make sure we have plenty of room, and that's why I have a little bit more room on the slide side as I do on the trigger side of this holster. Next, I start drawing things out. I start just kind of designing it, kind of just come up with some design, some shape, as long as it fits with what I want. Now, you may be wondering why I left this open at the end of the barrel here. The reason I did this is I want it to fit a large quantity of types of Glocks. If I kept this closed off, really I wouldn't be able to fit Glock 34, the 35, or the long slide Glock 17. It wouldn't fit in there. This is a Glock 17, so all the ones smaller in length would fit without any problems, but I want it to be, I want it to fit pretty much every double stack out there. There's still a few odds and ends, there's a couple of oddballs out there that it won't fit perfectly, but for the most part, this will fit the most widest variety of Glock handguns. So that's why I have it open at the bottom here. Now, you may be wondering about this section. This section, I'm not sure it's going to be this shape necessarily, but it's going to be a cutout in the middle of the material that will show through our crimson, okay? So I don't know that it's going to be this shape. It'll probably be a little bit different than this. Not sure exactly what it's going to be right now, but we'll think about that a little bit later. What I want to do is make sure that I have a little bit of a border around my eyelets that I'm going to put in there. And this isn't necessarily a hard and fast rule. You don't have to do it, but it looks a little strange if you don't. So that's why I like to leave a nice generous border around there. My material is way larger than it needs to be, and that's exactly what I want. The reason why I do this is when you start molding it, you lose a lot of material. It kind of accordions around all the contours of your handgun, and you would end up with too short. So you're better off actually cutting it excessively large. Trim it off. Don't worry about the waste. This is a mistake I made early on. I wanted to conserve material, and I ended up wasting more material that way than I ever could have saved. So you're better off just make it excessively large piece and then trim it off and don't even worry about it. Kydex is not super expensive. The Kryptek is probably some of the most expensive I've seen. For a 1 square foot, you're talking between probably $10 and $15 a square foot. So it is more expensive than, say, this red, which is probably in the $5 to $6 range for a square foot as well. So really, it depends on the pattern that you're buying. Plain colors are less expensive than a pattern. The carbon fiber is a little bit more expensive than plain color, and so forth. So the material I'm not too worried about. It's making sure I have enough material to mold what I'm going after here. So I've already cut these pieces out. Again, if you want to look back at some of my previous videos, but I can explain it to you, all you have to do is score it with a razor knife, a box cutter, and then you can actually bend it and it'll snap right along that score line. That's usually the best way. You don't have to cut all the way through it. It doesn't even have to be a very deep score, really. Now, as far as prepping the handgun itself, what I've done here is, again, I have that 1/2" dowel creating a sight channel. I've also used some just excess pieces of Kydex that I had, and I blocked out my ejection port. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want the material to grab right there, okay? Because it'll start to shave off some of the Kydex. You've got metal slide versus the plastic Kydex, and the metal slide is going to win. It's going to start to wear through there, and we don't want that. I've also blocked off a little piece of wood in the trigger guard right here because we don't want the Kydex to actually come all the way and touch. That could cause problems. It might have too much retention. And I've also blocked off on my rail up here, just again, so that it won't grab. All the retention is going to come from right in this area right here. Now, I've also taped off with this blue painter's tape, 4 layers on each side. And the reason I do this, I just want a little bit of breathing room. That way, if there's any dirt, dust, anything gets inside that holster, it won't be grinding every time I reholster and remove that handgun. So, anyway, guys, that is the prep work that is involved with making a Kydex holster. Be sure to come back next Thursday. We're going to finish this project, hopefully next week, and we're going to show you the finished product then. And I'll get this thing shipped out, ready for the auction. If you guys enjoyed this video, I always appreciate it when you like and share. If you're not a subscriber and you want to see how this turns out, go ahead and find that subscribe button, give it a big old click, and then come back next Thursday to watch the end of this project. Also, every Monday we have the Monday Sit Rep, where we talk about different things in the news. We also have the Life or Death Files and a What's New section. We talk about things, new products that are out there and available. There's also other various videos throughout the month, so be on the lookout for those. And until next time, take care and be safe.